very short amount of time. We've got 40 minutes today and 75 minutes tomorrow to be done. So think about this not as, oh, I'm going to make my project, but think about this as, wow, it's a really short hackathon where my goal is to make the simplest prototype of my idea that will show someone what I have in mind. So a couple things for this. Do the graphics last, so don't spend time finding images or creating assets. We're just going to display objects as rectangles or circles. Look at your feature set and decide which things are core and which aren't. Something is core if you don't have a game without that. You don't have a game without that thing. If you look at a feature and you said, what if I just left it out? If the answer is I still have a game, then leave it out. If you're thinking it's a lame game or it barely counts as a game, that still counts. So you want to be really ruthless is maybe the word about cutting your features out. Okay, so fewer types of things, fewer choices, or simpler interaction mechanics. So we talked before about having a short build test cycle. So the idea is ask yourself, what is the smallest thing that you can complete that's testable, where you can actually see that I've done something. So if I'm going to be making tower defense, here's a list for me. The first thing I think I want to do is display a horizontal road, and that's just drawing a rectangle. That's like one line of code, but I can test it and see if it's working. Then I'm thinking, let's make a template for the balloon class. Balloons are my enemy. And I'll make an array list of balloons. And I don't want to think about how they're going to come onto the screen one at a time. I'm just going to make them have random positions because I want something that's easy to test. And my goal here is just, can I make balloons? I can't actually see them until I have a draw method, so I'll make a draw method for the balloons where they just draw themselves as circles, and then I can check to see if I just see a bunch of balloons on the screen. Oh, yeah, right, and circles, right? Balloons aren't usually circles, they're usually kind of ovals, and I could make that if it was easy, but if it's not easy, I'll just make circles. So once I've done all that, it seems easy enough to do that same thing for towers. But I don't want to think about having the user click on places to place the towers. I just want to make them have pre-made positions. Then I want to modify balloons so that instead of being placed randomly, they're going to actually move in a horizontal line down the road. If I can do all of those things in 45 minutes, that's like starting to be a recognizable tower defense game. No one knows that we can't shoot bullets yet. So then the next step would be let's think about shooting bullets. Let's think about placing towers, collision detection, that sort of thing. So that's what it's going to look like. Let's see how long it takes. So here's my empty game template. I'm just going to fill in some of the things I said. So I'm going to make an array list of tower called towers. I'm going to make an array list of balloon called balloons. Tower and balloon haven't been created yet, but I'll go ahead and create them. Oh, I guess I'll create everything in the same package for now. We can organize them in different packages later. It's asking me if I want to track these with Git. The answer is not yet, I don't. All right, so I've got that. I said that what I wanted to do first, well, here, let's actually make them. So towers equals new array list. Wow, this is so laggy. Okay, and then balloons equals new array list. So I said the first thing that I wanted to do was just draw a road. So I'm going to get rid of these ellipses. Draw a road. Okay, so rectangle, the rect command is called rectangle. It looks like my screen is 800 by 800, but the variables are width and height. So I'm going to draw a rectangle at, let's say, so 0 is the x-coordinate, height over 2, like minus 100, and then width is going to be the right-hand side of the screen, and then height over 2 plus 100. So the idea is the y-coordinates are going to go from half the height of the screen minus 100 to half the height of the screen plus 100. And right away, I can test to see if I have something. Okay, well that doesn't look like what I had in mind. So let's fix it. But also want to know why it's in green. Oh, am I even running the right thing? Maybe. Oh, it's in green because I painted it green here. Okay, so let's green seems fine. So let's see. This is. It should be xy, xy. Height over 2 minus 100 to height over 2 plus 100. Okay, well, so obviously since I don't know how this works, let's let's do it. Let's do something similar. So let's make it from 300 to 500, and that should show me what's happening. Oh, it's because it's not xy, xy. It's upper left-hand corner and then width and height. Okay, so let's have the upper left-hand corner. Okay, so let's have the height be 200. All right. And so now I can go back to height over 2 minus 100. Let's try it again. See, this is why you have a short build test cycle, because sometimes even one line of code goes wrong. Yay, okay, so that looks like a road. And like I don't care that it's green because I don't want to waste my time on that right now. Come back to that later. All right, so next in my list was template of the balloon class. So let's see, the balloon should have, I'm going to represent x and y coordinates with a float instead of an int, I think. I think I will give it, I think I'll give the balloons a width and a height. And like thinking ahead a little bit, I'll just give them an x speed, even though we won't do anything with that yet. So now I will auto-generate the constructor. Trying to auto-generate the constructor. Of course, that's not working. Why? All right, whatever. So public balloon, and I think I'll pass in those. I think I'll maybe pass in all the things except the speed. Okay, so this x equals x, this dot y equals y, this dot width equals w, this dot height equals h. Great. And now, okay, so following my plan here. So now I've defined balloon. So let's make a whole bunch of balloons. I'm going to do that here in setup. And actually maybe I'm going to make a method for this. All right, so I'm going to pass in how many balloons I want to initialize. So let's say I want to initialize 60 balloons. All right, so I'm looping that many times, and my plan is I'm going to make a balloon object. New balloon, but I want random xy coordinates, so math.random times the screen width for the x coordinate, and then let's actually break this out a little bit. Come on. Okay, so float x, cast to float, math.random times width, and then let's do the same thing for height. Here's a y coordinate for the screen height. So now I'll pass in that xy. I'm going to make all my balloons be the same size, so let's do a width of like 40 and a height of 60. And I think that's it. And what does it not like about this? Int float. Oh, yeah. Great. So let's make all those be float. And then that reminds me, this dot x speed should equal 0 to start. Okay, so now I've got balloons, but I can't actually see them. I mean, I could test it right here by printing out num balloons and then balloons.size. So that is a way of seeing, is it doing something similar to what I want. But let's go ahead and just implement the draw method. So there I'm drawing the road. I'm going to use a for each loop here. And I'm just going to say b.draw. And that's going to be the balloon drawing itself onto the screen. But remember, my game is the graphics window. So I'm going to pass this current object, which is the graphics window, as the input to draw. So that way the balloon has a surface to draw on. Except I think I'm going to pass it as a p-applet, which I'll call window. Really? Update usages to reflect signature change. No. Okay. So if it's going to draw itself, I will say window.fill. I'm going to have it be a particular color just so I can tell the difference. So let's make it red. And I'm going to add a to-do here, set color as attribute later. It's nice to just give yourself some flags as you're going along. And then I'll say window ellipse, and it's going to be my own XY coordinates, and it's going to be my own width and my own height. Cool. So I think that's ready. Let's go back to game. Yeah, so inside draw, I'm going to paint the screen white, I'm going to draw the road, and then I'm going to loop through all the balloons and have them draw themselves. So let's see what it looks like. All right, so cool. I don't see anything. Again, short build test cycle. This is a good thing. So what's going on? Let's do this. All right, so I think what I want to do, let's have it just tell me what it's doing. Display balloon at, and then I just want to have it print all the things. Nope. Because I want to see, I can think of a bunch of things, like maybe the color's wrong, maybe width and height are 0 for some reason. I don't know what's happening. So this is at least going to have it display to me what I think it should be doing. Interesting. So it's not displaying at all. So what that tells me is that it's never running the draw method inside balloons. So the question is, why not? And I see why not. It's because the size of my balloons list is 0 because I never actually added it to my balloons list. See, like these are all kind of dumb mistakes. They're just oversights. But I think, I couldn't have come up with a better illustration of why you want a short build test cycle. Because it was pretty fast for me to find because there weren't that many lines of code that I'd just written. Let's try again. All right, there's some balloons. Cool. So I think next in the hit list was let's do the same thing for towers and make them in pre-made positions. So here's tower. Towers are going to have XY coordinates. Towers are going to have a width and a height. And like right now I'm thinking probably I should have a parent class that's game object. But I don't want to take the time to do that refactoring right now, so I don't think I'm going to. Towers aren't going to move, and like they should have other attributes like hit points and things. I guess let's just do that right now. Okay, fine. So, come on, constructor. So I'm going to construct it with all the things, I think. All right, and now I'm also going to give it a draw with a p-applet. It's this. Except my towers, I'm going to have them draw themselves as rectangles. P-applet. Oh, I can't call it this. Window. Okay. All right, so let's do window fill. I'm going to have it fill, sort of a medium color. And now I'm going to do window rectangle at XY and width and height. All right, so now let's go back to game, except this time I'm not going to create the towers. We create 10 towers. Except I'm not going to, no, I'm going to do 5 towers on each side. So I'm not going to create them at random positions. I'm going to create them sort of in a line. So here, let's make int called spacing equals width divided by num. Because if I'm going to create 10 or like 5 towers, I want the width of the screen divided by 5, and that's what my spacing between towers is going to be. So let's say tower T1 is going to be new tower. I'm going to give it an x coordinate that's I times the spacing, and a y coordinate that's going to be like 250, and a width that's going to be like, let's make the width and the height be the same, 50 by 50. And hit points right now don't do anything. So those will be towers that are hopefully right above the road. I'm going to make another tower that's going to be directly below the road. So maybe 450. Does that make sense? Maybe. We'll find out. Towers.add T1. Towers.add T2. And now down here, we'll say for tower T, towers, T.draw this. All right. So now let's look at towers. All right. It's not the greatest. I think I'm going to make one change, which is I'm going to have my bottom layer towers be down by 50 pixels, just so that they really are below the road. All right, so let's make this be 500. Let's run it one more time. Okay, that looks more like what I want. Except I'm gonna offset them. So what am I actually going to do? So let's say plus 100. Okay, that looks somewhat reasonable. Okay, so now let's change it so that the balloons aren't all scattered higgledy-piggledy. Let's have the balloons march down the center of the road. So let me think about how I want to do this. So in the spirit of a short build test cycle, I just want one balloon to march down the center of the road, and then we'll worry about having more than one balloon. So here inside init balloons, let's init just one balloon. And I'm not going to have them be at random positions. Let's make its x coordinate. Let's make its y coordinate. No, I don't want it to be random. The y coordinate is going to be height over 2. So center of the road. The x coordinate, let's have it be -10, so it starts off the left-hand side of the road, or like -30. Actually, let's have it start at +30, just so that I can still see the one balloon on the screen. And let's go ahead and tick the balloons. So update. And I don't need to give it the graphics window for the balloon to update itself, because this is about updating its own position. I'm just going to call it update position. All right, so now let's give the balloons an x speed that's like +5, and then an update position, I'll say x plus equals x speed. Okay, so I think that makes sense. Okay, it seems a little fast. But at least I can see that I have a balloon that's moving. I'm going to set the X speed down to like 1. Let's try again. Okay, it's still maybe a little fast, but it's... No, I think that's appropriate with so many towers. Okay, so now let's think. So an easier thing to do would be to create, like pre-create all the balloon objects with a line going out this way, but set X coordinates that are off the screen. A slightly harder thing to do would be to have a timer, and like every time the timer runs out, we'll create a new balloon to set. I don't think that seems that hard, so let's do that. So I'm going to call it balloon spawn timer. And then balloon spawn rate, except it's not really a rate. Let's call it balloon spawn interval. And so I want a balloon to spawn every 80 frames. Okay, and then the timer, let's have it be a countdown timer. So I'm going to set it initially to be the balloon spawn interval, and it'll count down, and when it gets to 0, I'll make another one. So here inside draw, let's do balloon spawn timer minus minus, and then if balloon spawn timer has reached 0, then I'll make a new balloon. So balloon B equals new balloon, and I'm going to make it at an X coordinate of -30 and a Y coordinate of height over 2. And I forget what the width and the height were over here. So 40 and 60. Okay. And then I'm going to say balloons add B. Oh, and then I have to reset the timer. So balloon spawn timer equals balloon spawn interval. Okay, so when the timer reaches 0, I make a balloon, I put it in the list, I set the timer back to whatever it was supposed to be, starting at to count down again. And now the rest of it is just the same, because now that I have another balloon in the list, it'll just update itself and draw itself. All right, let's take a look. All right. There we go. And if I wanted to, I could have them be, random timings between, staggered a little bit. I could randomize the Y coordinates if I wanted. But at least this is starting to shape up a little bit like a prototype.